virtual reality worlds are made really quickly in Unity 3D. So we're going to start with basically the open world, God's gigantic open space that we can do anything we want in, right? So if you look here, you'll notice there are two objects. This is just the very first start of a scene in Unity, and you have a whole bunch of options, inspector here, hierarchy, whatever. This is all the different parts of Unity. Don't worry about this so much, but the basic idea here is you have a scene just like a movie scene. You set up a bunch of props, and you put up a bunch of actors, and you do all that. And that is in this space right here. And then whatever the camera sees is down here in the game view. So as you can see, there's a camera right here. If you click on it, you can see that it's looking through. I'll get a different angle here. But you can see it's looking at a certain angle, right? And that is what the camera is seeing here. And as you can see with the camera preview, that's that, right? So basically, you can set up your movie scene or game scene however you want. We can also do awesome things with the way Unity creates this world. So for instance, this directional light, this is actually the sun. In fact, we might as well just rename it sun because it's essentially the sun. And if we rotate it, we take this number and we change it. You know what, I'll just do it with this. If we rotate it like this, you'll notice the sun goes down, essentially, right? And then it comes up during midday and goes down. And here it's like the sun is set right past the hemisphere, and so it's middle of the night, and you can see literally nothing. So with this one little tweak, we can basically just change the setting of your world. So enough of that. Let's start actually putting objects in. So first, go up here to Game Object, which is basically any physical object in a game, like an actor, a machine gun, a tree, whatever, right? And let's just add a cube. So now we have a cube, and that cube is sitting right here in this physical space somewhere. And as you can see, the camera, it's within the view of what the camera sees here, and thus it's coming up in your actual game view. If I take this object and I can move it, I click on this here, and as you can see there are these arrows, and I pull on an arrow and it'll go somewhere, right? If I click and I move this away, all the way over on this side. Now, when I click here, note the camera isn't able to see it anymore. So it just, as in the game world, is essentially invisible, unless for some you get the camera to turn on and look at it. So let's bring that back. And now, let's add another one. And in fact, we're going to make it a floor. So we can stretch this out to here, stretch it all the way out until it's literally a floor over your cube. Let's lift this up a bit. Click here, lift this up. And now you can see there's your actual cube. And it has a shadow. And the shadow, as you can guess, is based on the rotation of the sun. So we switch this around. Now it's midday, so there's very little shadow. Now it's nearly nighttime, so there isn't much of a shadow at all, right? So let's just set it to somewhere around the afternoon. Okay, so this is cool, but it's kind of abstract. What else can we do with this, right? So one of the coolest parts of Unity is the idea of starting a game. So it's just like if you were setting up a play or a movie, and you set up all the actors and all the props together. They're not going to do anything until you call action, right? And when you hit action, they'll act out whatever scene it is they're supposed to be acting. And then when you yell cut, they stop and they go back to their original position to act it out again. So the way that works in software or in games is the exact same idea. This is all a set of things that we've structured here, and as soon as we yell action or hit this play button here, then everything's going to go the way it's supposed to, whatever the logic of the game world is telling it to. So when we click here, in theory, things will happen. Now in this case, all we've done is put some blocks in, so nothing is going to happen, right? So let's actually do that. Let's put something in. So we're going to add what are called components, which are basically things you add on to something. So if I had a statue and I added a component called soul, it would animate and suddenly it would start singing or, telling people that it wants, I don't know, whatever. It would start doing something. So click on the object you want, this cube, then go to component, physics, and then rigid body. The rigid body just means this thing is affected by gravity. So it's a physical object that, actually has a gravity and a mass. So when we start the game, the logic will say this thing can be affected by gravity. Are you stopped, or are you in the air? If you're in the air, drop you down. So, as obviously, we're putting this thing up here. In fact, let's make it really more obvious. Let's put them all the way up here. And then, at start, and he falls. And he just falls on the floor, right? Just clunk right down there. Which works pretty well. But why don't we make this a little more interesting? Let's rotate this. It's a really steep angle. Now guess what happens? When we drop it, he's going to roll off. And clunk, clunk, clunk. Whee! And if you look down here, he's falling into the infinite abyss of the real game. Okay. And in fact, if you click on the cube's position, look, it's like its z is, or its y is just thousands of meters down. And it's spinning and rotating because as we started, we rotated it, right? If we look back here, it's rotating, rotating, right? And it keeps doing that all the way down forever and forever. And we're just watching slowly descend through this. Okay, so that's that. Now, we can also do that with, we don't have to just use cubes, we can also use balls. So let's add a sphere, and the same idea applies. Drops. Oh, no, never mind, it doesn't have a rigid body on it. So now it's just a block in the middle of the air. Component, physics, rigid body. And now, drops, and it's the same thing. Okay, so this is actually the basic components of a game. You have a floor here, and you have a series of things that you want to keep on the floor. And they can roll whenever. So imagine if you had a game where one person was controlling this movement of this floor, and one person was controlling these balls and trying to move them around, right? Give them forces to push them this side and that side. You could have a two-player game where one person was rolling around trying to get the ball to fall off, and the other guy was trying to keep it on the floor, right? And depending on how big the floor was, or you can have power-ups that stretch out the floor, or make it really small, or make the ball really, really sticky, and so it doesn't move all that much. But you could have a whole really simple game based on that idea. So the cool thing about Unity is that it's meant for you to just sort of throw a bunch of stuff like this together and go, oh wow, this could be this here or something. Let's see if this is interesting. And the way you add something like those controls is the same way that I added physics. You just go up to here to component, and you're adding scripts, right? So scripts are the bits of code that you put in that say, when I press this button, the sphere jumps, or whatever it is you want to add. Cool. Okay. So now, let's do something a little more interesting. Let's put you in it. Let's put a player in. So Unity has a whole series of things built in for different gameplay types. If you want to do a first-person game, then you can just import a controller package, which allows you basically to put a first-person view in the game. So let's do that now. We're going to import a character package. And as you should see this decompressing package screen, while it's doing that, basically what's going on is you have a series of characters. So first-person character is a first-person view. Then you have a rollerball, which I have no idea what that is. Third-person character is like, yeah, like Uncharted or something like that, where you're watching some person run around. Then there's also cars and planes. We'll get to that at some other point, but they're pretty cool. So for now, we don't need any of this other stuff. Physics materials, that sounds useful. Sure, let's just do that. So now, let's import all this stuff. So it's going to take a little while. It does all this big importing. And here we have it. First person character, prefab, FPS control. So let's drag this in. And immediately you'll notice something at the bottom there in the game screen. The game screen changes now as I move this guy, as opposed to moving this guy. Basically, there is a camera within the FPS controller somewhere, right there. And whenever he's in the scene, he takes precedence. So this guy is no longer relevant, meaning we can turn him off, or just straight delete him. So now we've got this guy, and he's here. So let's look at him a little closer. This is you. Apparently you don't have skin. but you do have a round wireframe. And this thing here is also, as you can see, has a rigid body, meaning that when I click here, he will fall. He'll fall straight onto the ground. And he makes that nice kudunk sound. Right? And there's now a ball at your feet. Let's see if we can kick it. Okay, that was awesome. Oh no, did I fall? Looks like I fell. Well, alright, let's see where I am here. See the floor? I'm not on here. For reading, I can't even find it. I'm flying lower and lower. Okay, so, let's get back to us. Right, so, now, as you can see, all we did to put ourselves in is just have this one controller. And now I can use WASD and I can walk around. And I can try to look at the ball that fell without falling. I can even jump and later on run. So, that's just the basics of simple creation, right? We don't have to, like, as fun as it is to walk around in abstract worlds where there's just cubes and spheres and, Salvador Dali's nightmares, let's actually make a real world, right? That's a lot more interesting. So let's take all these things and turn them off. And we want to keep the sun, right? Because that'll just turn off to be... Oh, that's interesting. When you turn the sun off, it just looks like dust. That kind of looks nice. Maybe... we'll keep it on. Okay, so now we need to import another package, which is environment. And as you can guess, that's literally the ground, right? That's mountains and trees and all this other stuff. Ignore all this. It'll make sense in just a second. Import. This is taking a long time.
Meantime, let's talk about Game School while we're waiting. You teach classes, right?
I do teach classes here at Game School. So I teach coding through Unity, getting everything down for making like a first-person shooter, a platformer, whatever it is you're interested in. So we do this through 12-week intensive classes where someone comes in from 11 to 7 3 times a week, and the other times, 11 to 7, it's open office hours. So you're spending a lot of time sitting there practicing how to make games, how to code them, how to build like an interesting brand or an interesting characters. Everything basically you'd need to be an indie developer or go out in the industry and go work at a company. And there's no real requirement for you don't have to know any coding, you don't have to know any drawing. It helps, of course, if you do, but we'll teach you whatever you need to know.
Game-school.com.
What he said. So, if you're interested, we have a class coming up in February that will be starting up, so feel free to join in. All right, now that our shameless plug is done and our downloading is done, let's go plug this part in. So we're going to put in, did we get the environment? Oh, here it is. Okay, great. So now that we've put it into our system here, let's add a terrain. The terrain, as you can see, is massive. So you are like this big, and the terrain is like huge in comparison to you. It's probably like a mile across or something like that, right? So as we move ourselves into this little world, it takes a long time to walk through. In fact, why don't we try it now? Walk down. You can see my little me up there on the top, up here, right? We start walking. I'm barely going anywhere. And then if I run a slight bit more fast. But that's about it. Alright, so, but right now we're just sort of walking on a completely flat snow land, right? We can do a little better than that. So click on the terrain, and let's raise some mountains up. So let's pick here, pick a decent brush size, and as you can see there's this little blue icon here where you're going to be raising mountains. Let's just raise a big one. And this should all lead up to some gigantic mountain right about here. Alright. And now if we look over, once we watch here, it's a huge mountain with a series of mountains around it. Really easy, 30 seconds, and you just made your little world. Now, as nice as it is to be in snow-capped territory, let's actually give it some texture. Okay? So, go through here. Let's give it some grassy hill area. Cool. And now, our entire world is all of a sudden grass. Our mountain looks alright, a little less ominous, so let's make it look a little separate. And now we're getting some slowdown, I don't know if that's fun. Okay, we're going to add another texture in. It's Rocky Bed. So now, the top of this mountain is going to be really rocky. Okay. I wonder if we can just do something with like a white color to make that snow at the top. We'll do that later. Okay. Probably a way to just add a new material and just make a white box and have that be a texture, but we'll do that later. So, let's do the very tops of these mountains too. Why not? Awesome. Okay. And then, do the same thing with a bunch of trees. Let's see. Broadleaf desktop? Let's do the desktop version. Oh no, the spinning wheel of death. There we go. Plant a few more. And where are we? Let's see if I can guess. Closer. Maybe here? Nope, further. There we go. We're in there somewhere. I like how the shadows change. Let's get the shadows at a nice angle that we want. Morning. Evening. I kind of like that. Cool. Okay. So now back to the terrain. Man, computer just cracked right in the middle of it. Cool. And let's add one more tree type. Conifer tree. Nope, we're just adding more broadleaves. There we go. Okay, cool. Now, let's walk around here. Sweet. So basically, that's all you need to make a VR world. Let's maximize this and we'll take a look at. Yeah, there we go. And I wonder if I can change the day setting while we walk around. That's kind of cool. Let's make it bright. There we go. Better. Okay. So, yeah, basically you've made a world, and you're able to walk around in it. Now, to put this in VR, first of all, this is on a Mac side. You have to be on a Windows side to actually test this in VR. Oculus, at least for the Oculus Rift, because that's Oculus is only out for its drivers only really work for PC, not for Mac. That's something that I'm sure they'll fix at some point, but for now, while they're just launching, they want to get one thing really solid. So let's just do you'll have to be on a Windows version. But if you are in Windows, all you have to do to get into VR is go into here, Project Settings, Player, and then Other Settings, Virtual Reality Supported. This little thing here, and then as soon as you hit play and put on your VR goggles, you're able to look around as if you were, just right in a virtual world. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let us know if you have any questions. You can message us somehow on Twitch, or you can send me an email at jason@game-school.com. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.